Hey everybody! In today's video, I am going to be trying out a medium that is new to me. These are the Arteza Real Brush pens that I had some fun with today, and I'm going to tell you all about them. This is the image I'll be working with today. This is a background stamp from Joy Claire. And I have this image already all set up and stamped and dry. I stamped it in VersaFine Clair ink, which is waterproof. And I have these markers numbered. They do not have a color name on them, so in the package, before I took them and put them in rainbow order, I numbered them just in the order that they come in, so I would know how they were originally packaged. Now, since water is my favorite solvent, I wanted to see how these blended with water, and I wanted to see if I could get a little glow around these coffee cups. A lot of times when you put an ink-based water-soluble medium onto watercolor paper, it doesn't move that well. So I wanted to see how these did, and they do beautifully. You can see that I can work the edge of that line and turn it into a fade to paper glow, which is exactly what I wanted to do. I wanted to create sort of a bright Warhol inspired coffee cup background. And I have needed a lot of coffee this week for various reasons. And so I am appreciating this bright, happy, caffeinated background. Now, I'm using an Arteza water brush. These come in a package of 6, which I also played with their pencils, and you'll see a video on this on my channel as well in a few days. But what's cool about their water brushes is when you get the package of 6, you will see there are all sorts of new shapes that I have never had before in a water brush, including a 1/4 inch flat brush, which I love for swatching, because whenever I get a new medium, I have to swatch it. I think sometimes swatching is as much fun as painting. But there's also a thicker flat brush. There are various sizes of round and pointed brushes, like the one that I'm using here. I'm using one of the smaller regular water brushes, and they're very ergonomic. I do not put water in my water brushes. I use them more like paint brushes, and I pick water up from another container. But I love the fact that now I have some different shapes because I've never had that before, and I've been using water brushes for basically ever. So it was kind of fun to have something new. Now, another thing that I've noticed with water-soluble ink mediums is that different colors behave different ways, just like they do with watercolor pigments, pencils, etc. That's just the way it works. However, these were all easy to move, easy to blend out to nothing. The differences I found were more differences in intensity, which you will see with this blue. As soon as I start working with the blue, I noticed that the ink goes a lot farther. So where I was used to putting a little bit of a thicker line with the other colors, with the blue, that turned into more ink on the page, and it's a much more intense experience. So that was kind of fun and sort of perfect for me, because if there's one marker that I want to be more intense, it's most definitely the blue one. Now, this ink cleans off my water brush really well, which you can see when I go to do this lighter yellow. Normally, if I'm just dipping my water brush into water, it will become soiled over time. And certain pigments tend to clean off your brush better than others. That's one of the things that I noticed when I started working with Daniel Smith watercolor versus some other watercolors, is that it was much easier to clean my brush. With these markers, it is very easy to clean the ink off of your brush and not contaminate one color with another color, which in this kind of simple design would really be kind of a buzzkill because I'm going for very bright, saturated, and distinct colors. Now here you can see what I'm talking about with the blue, how much farther I can go out into the paper before it starts to blend out to white. And that is because this is a very intense color, and I love it. Now there you saw me put down water before I put the ink down. I was just experimenting as I was going along here, kind of doing some of my normal tests that I do when I get a new medium. And one is, especially with markers, whether or not I can put that marker down onto slightly damp cardstock and still get any ink out of the marker. And I definitely did, as you can see there. So that works just fine. Now here in my brain, I'm trying to figure out how to make it so that the same color is not next to the same color, which you would think with, how many colors do I have here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. With 5 colors and only 4 coffee cups per row, you would think that would be a math problem that would be easy for me to solve. The problem is, it's not as easy for me to do math while I am attempting to make some Andy Warhol coffee cups. It's just not. So there you have it. I did end up not getting the same color twice, but it was hard to do even at the bottom of this little composition. Now, the people at Arteza were nice enough to give me a coupon code when I told them I was doing this video. And so you will be able to have a coupon code to get these at 10% off. So be sure and look for that underneath the description on this video, as well as in my blog post about this card. Now, when I went to finish this card, I didn't want to cover up any of these coffee cups. So that's one of the hard things about making a background that you really like, is then you don't know how to finish the card because you don't want to cover anything up. And I definitely didn't want to cover anything up on here. So I ended up using a piece of vellum. And if you haven't seen some of my recent videos, I have finally found a vellum adhesive that does not show through vellum. It's like a miracle. It's 2018. And we finally have a vellum adhesive that works. So a lot of times that's what I'll do when I have a background that I really would regret covering up, is I do a little bit of vellum. And that helps me be okay with covering it up. Now, this is sped up, but you're able to see that in addition to picking up water over on my right, when I'm fading the color out to the white of the paper, I also make a little mark on my mat. So I'm getting both water and pigment off. And this is one of the things that I teach in my watercolor classes. You want to work towards a drier and drier brush, and a brush with less and less pigment if you really want to fade things out to white. This is something I never mastered with Copic markers. I never got a fade that I liked. I just don't have that gene or whatever it takes to be able to do that with alcohol markers. But I have perfected it with watercolor, and it is that simple process of less and less water and less pigment using your hand or the paper. If you're not me, I tend to do it with my hand, but I know that's a bad habit. So that's how I got the little glow that I was going for. And this card did not take very long. This pigment doesn't take long to move out. So I think I only sped the video up twice. So not a bad way to spend 15 or 20 minutes. Honestly, I enjoyed every minute of it. I love how bright and saturated these markers are in the brighter colors. So there's the finished card with the perfect vellum adhesive and a little word die. And I hope you've enjoyed this. Thanks so much for watching.